Qualified plans. What the word qualified means is there's something different. There's maybe a different tax treatment or something. But anything that calls itself a qualified plan has to be approved by the IRS. So these plans typically are set up by employers for their employees and for their employees' beneficiaries. That's one of the requirements. They have to be formally written and communicated. The people who are covered by qualified plans, and when I say qualified, particularly employer plans, the biggest ones that you know about are pension plans, profit sharing plans, 401k plans, just to give you a couple of examples. They are formally written. You have a third-party administrator. They even have their own tax returns that have to be filed. So they are an expensive and detailed item for an employer to put together. And all of it has to be communicated out to the employees. It's called a summary plan description. And it is a synopsis of everything, all their coverages and how to get their money out and just all different kinds of things. All has to be provided in writing to the people who are covered. The plans cannot discriminate. And what they mean specifically when they're talking about a qualified plan is that the highly compensated management people cannot be treated better or in any way different from the rank and file employees. So how do they manage that? For example, on a profit sharing plan, the company may say, all right, we've had profits this year. We're going to share it with everybody through the profit sharing plan, and we're going to give 3%. And everybody goes, great. And then they start thinking, 3% of what? What are they going to calculate it on? Well, most often a choice is they're going to get 3% of their rate of pay, their compensation. So granted, somebody that is a highly compensated employee, their 3% is going to be bigger than a rank and file hourly employee. But they're applying the exact same percentage to every person in the plan, and that's what keeps it from being discriminatory, because they must not discriminate. Okay? So that's an example. The plans are considered to be permanent. You don't go through the expense and the time of creating a pension or 401k or profit sharing plan, do it for 1 year and then terminate it. The IRS is going to frown upon that, and there would be a lot of penalties, possible fines, all kinds of things with the IRS, because they are supposed to be permanent for the employees and their beneficiaries. Also, one of the big requirements to make it a qualified plan is it must have a vesting schedule. First of all, what does vesting mean? Vesting means ownership. And when they talk about a vesting schedule on these qualified plans, it relates to employer money that has been put into the plan on your behalf. In pension and profit sharing plans, it's all employer money. You don't put any of your money in as an employee. But 401k plans, for example, you can put your own money in as well as the employer can decide to put some money in as well. In that situation, remember, as an employee, you are always 100% vested in the money you put in to a 401k, for example. The vesting schedule actually applies to the employer dollars that are put in on your behalf on any of these qualified plans. There's different ways it can be structured. There's something called a 3-year cliff vesting. It means the first 3 years that you're in the plan, you don't have any ownership of any money the employer puts away on your behalf in that plan. But the beginning of year 4, you go to 100% ownership of that money. Another type is called a graded vesting schedule. It's very popular with the plans. And that usually starts out, the first year you're in the plan, you have 0 vesting, meaning no ownership in the employer money. But the longer you stay with the company, the more the percentage goes up that you can access were you to leave the company. So let's say year 2, now you have a 20% ownership of the money that the employer put in. So if you left the company, you would be able to take 20% of what the employer put in with you. The next year it would go up to 40, the next 60, then 80, and then 100. It is a way of the employers to kind of use those velvet handcuffs to kind of tie you to the company. You might think twice about leaving if you knew if you spent one more year, you might be able to get 100% ownership of the money that has gone in from the employer. So it's just the way the employer decides to structure the plan. But vesting means ownership, and the vesting schedule applies always to employer dollars put into a plan on your behalf.